character is the newest addition to the growing list of soap villains whose stories end in death. This article includes references to sexual assault and domestic abuse, including coercive and controlling behavior, which some readers may find upsetting. Dr. Caitlin Todd's time in Emmerdale is coming to an end after a flash-forward confirmed that she will soon be killed. Considering her horrific assault on Charity Dingle, portrayed by Emma Atkins, it was always expected that Dr. Todd would eventually face consequences. However, choosing to kill her continues a familiar and overused pattern in soap storylines involving abusive characters. The plot initially showed great promise, supported by compelling performances from Caroline Harker and the consistently impressive Emma Atkins. Yet the reveal of Todd's upcoming death has shifted the story away from emotional depth and toward a more sudden and sensational direction. Over the years, the village has seen countless villains meet violent ends instead of facing proper justice through the legal system. During 2026 alone, John Sugden was killed in self-defense by his half-sister Victoria. Meanwhile, modern slavery leader Ray Walters murdered his cruel adoptive mother, Celia Daniels, before later being killed himself. Previous years also saw the deaths of child abuser Anthony Fox and rapist Craig Reed. At a time when mystery murder storylines dominate soap operas, this outcome lacks the emotional impact viewers have come to expect. With several major villains appearing at the same time, the show had an opportunity to explore different forms of justice. John's manipulative behavior, Ray's disturbing criminal lifestyle, and Celia's heartless cruelty could each have led to unique and meaningful consequences. A courtroom confession from Ray at the last moment would have been a powerful ending, especially given that he had been drawn into his criminal life through manipulation. Likewise, John suffering the permanent loss of his medical career while serving a prison sentence would have been a far more fitting punishment. In that scenario, Celia's death would have carried much greater emotional significance as the only fatal outcome. Instead of seeing the guilty held accountable in court, Beowulf was left having to justify his own actions after killing Ray, while Victoria was forced to live with the emotional burden of taking John's life in a split-second act of self-defense. Now the story once again turns the villain into the victim, and this storytelling approach is not unique to Emmerdale. The series would benefit from revisiting its past and finding more creative ways to deliver justice instead of repeatedly relying on murder to conclude a villain's storyline. Unfortunately, Caitlin Todd's fate has already been decided. That makes the decision even more disappointing, because the show had the opportunity to tell a groundbreaking story through her downfall. Charity believed she could trust another woman, making the assault even more devastating. Because her attacker was female, she has wrongly questioned the legitimacy of her own experience, while legal definitions often fail to fully reflect the seriousness of what she endured. A courtroom case acknowledging that women can also commit these crimes could have delivered an important message and challenged public perceptions. Caroline Harker undoubtedly would have excelled in powerful courtroom scenes. Her character might have attempted to rely on her respected reputation for protection, only for that defense to collapse as multiple survivors bravely came forward, leading to her conviction and the destruction of her career. Instead, that opportunity has been missed. With insufficient evidence, the police were unable to bring charges against her, reflecting the painful reality faced by many survivors. Charity finally found a small measure of comfort after an emotional conversation with fellow survivor Helen. However, Dr. Todd's upcoming murder threatens to overshadow Charity's trauma and healing journey, weakening the emotional focus of the storyline and leaving an unsatisfying conclusion that both Emmerdale and the wider soap genre should reconsider. What was once an exciting and unpredictable storytelling twist has gradually become an overused formula. Rather than strengthening the drama, it often distracts from the lasting emotional impact on the characters audiences care about, and ultimately delivers an ending that feels all too familiar. As a result, Dr. Todd's storyline risks becoming yet another classic soap conclusion, a dead body followed by the inevitable search for the killer. Kev Townsend is determined to leave his criminal past behind and build a fresh future in Emmerdale. With a new surname, a bakery business, and hopes of forming a bond with his newly discovered son, he believes he is finally on the right path. Unfortunately, almost everyone around him seems ready to stand in his way, apart from Claudette Anderson, who continues to support him. After clearing his name over the cafe robbery accusations, which had been fueled by Ross Barton and Nicola King, Kev barely had time to relax before another problem arrived. His old associate Steve suddenly appeared in the village, bringing fresh trouble with him. It quickly became obvious that Steve had no intention of respecting Kev's new life. Instead, he viewed the peaceful village as an easy opportunity for criminal gain and was surprised that Kev had abandoned the lifestyle they once shared. Kev insists those days are behind him and makes it clear that Steve must not jeopardize everything he has worked for, especially now that he is trying to develop a relationship with Lewis. With Lewis's birthday approaching, Kev wants the day to be perfect and refuses to let anything spoil the celebration. Steve, however, ignores every warning. He proposes breaking into Home Farm, convinced the robbery could secure their future forever. Kev immediately rejects the idea, determined not to risk another prison sentence. The following day arrives, and Kev is excited to celebrate Lewis's birthday, but true to form, Steve decides to press ahead with the burglary, despite Kev's refusal. Even so, Steve may not be the greatest threat facing Kev. A completely unexpected rival is about to emerge, and Kev won't see it coming. Vinnie Dingle is preparing to interfere with Kev's growing connection to Lewis, and has his own reasons for wanting to keep the pair apart. The big question now is how far Vinnie is prepared to go, and what schemes he will use to stop Kev from becoming a permanent part of Lewis's life. Emmerdale viewers are convinced that Moira Dingle could soon find herself at the centre of a surprising new romance, with many believing the storyline would leave Kane heartbroken. Moira, played by Natalie J. Robb, first arrived in the ITV soap in 2009 and has remained one of the show's most popular characters ever since. Throughout her years in the village, she has faced countless challenges, from complicated relationships to a life-changing brain tumour diagnosis. The past few months have been especially difficult for Moira and her family. Earlier this year, her husband Kane Dingle received the devastating news that he had prostate cancer, placing enormous strain on their marriage and turning their lives upside down. At the same time, Moira endured her own nightmare after being falsely imprisoned over a double murder investigation and alleged links to Celia Daniels' human trafficking network. Although she was eventually cleared and released, the Dingle family soon suffered another emotional blow when they learned that their beloved dog, Monty, had been diagnosed with cancer. Now, however, attention has shifted to a completely different possibility, with fans speculating that Moira could be heading toward an unexpected affair. During a discussion on an Emmerdale fan page, one viewer questioned whether Moira and Graham might end up becoming romantically involved. Others quickly agreed with the theory, admitting they had considered the same possibility, while several fans suggested such a twist would not come as a complete surprise. Some viewers even argued that the idea seemed increasingly believable now that Graham and Kane have begun rebuilding a friendship, with one fan commenting that they could understand why Moira might be drawn in if events unfolded that way. Emmerdale is broadcast every weekday at 8 p.m. on ITV1, with episodes also available to stream on ITVX.